Can you talk to me about the local authority dimension?
Yeah.
How did it work that Audiences South was based in a local authority?
Yeah, I mean, originally the organisation in the 70s was joint funded by Arts Council England. At the time it would have been Arts Council South and Hampshire County Council, so that's where it originally came from. In those days, the regional arts boards, as they were quite new, and actually Hampshire County Council used to do all the finances for the regional arts board as well. So I think it sort of sat quite well in that kind of process about being two bodies working together. We originally Audiences South was originally called Arts Marketing Hampshire, and it was originally one person. It was a post that was funded by the Arts Council and then also jointly funded by the local authority. So that's how it started, and it grew and developed from those early points. Did it work? Well, actually it had some real strengths by being in a local authority. It learnt to speak the language of local authority, which I think is a very important part of this process. In terms of its finances, it was very secure because it was in a local authority. It didn't have to worry about cash flow as an organisation because it actually only had to make an annual return that made the correct figure. This, I think, gave the organisation a certain level of strength. We were able to delay projects, to hold delivery on projects until the organisations were ready to actually do what they wanted to do, because a financial deadline was never the imperative. Yes, we had to complete it by the 31st of March, but actually there was still an awful lot of time where actually an organisation going, do you know what, you don't really want to do this for another 2 months, and that's fine by us and we're fine by it. So I think that was there were some really important bits that came from that. Our end, of course, was brought about also by being in a local authority, so there were some positives and the negative, and that negative came from the fact that unlike any other part of the local authority, we started each year with no money in the budget, and we had to earn all the money that we had to make. And this put real pressure in a time of risk aversion in the local authorities, and we were perpetually seen as a constant risk because we couldn't tell the Chief Finance Officer that we would guarantee to make the necessary income by the end of each year. And I think that led ultimately to our downfall and being closed down by the local authority because they felt that the risk was too high in the current situation, and they thought it was a risk to public money. So, were we a big risk to public money? I don't think we were. I think the biggest risk we could have been was about 40,000 ever, and that's not a huge amount of money in the scale of organisation that we were. And for me, that's a sadness, but there is a positiveness that sits within that, which is I think it is possible to exist as an audience development agency that is not directly funded by the state and still operate as an audience development agency rather than as a commercial consultancy. And I think what we were able to do by being in that local authority was to retain that subsidised, not-for-profit feel about us, which meant that we didn't, although we were having to work within a commercial market, we were able to retain a very not-for-profit, very subsidised approach to how we work with local organisations. And I think perhaps the challenge to the future audience development agencies, which won't be funded directly by the Arts Council, will be being able to continue to offer that subsidised, very intensive support to cultural organisations when ultimately they are still operating as commercial consultancies at this point in time. And I think that's a real challenge and something that the Arts Council will need to consider in terms of how it funds those organisations in the future to ensure that those things are kept as philanthropic in their reasons as possible.